Hi, welcome. Thank you for being here today. I hope you're having a gorgeous day or night so far. Let's get you some clarity. We're going to start today with the tarot just to get the foundational energy situation straight out of the gate. This is a timeless collective reading. See what feels like it fits, like it resonates, and trust, follow that divine direct connection you have to your higher self, to God, to source, to the universe, because the answer is in you. And try to make balanced decisions between logic and intuition. So your decisions are sound, they're based in love for the highest and greatest good of everybody. So we are all uplifted in love. Let's begin, let's dive in, see what's going on. Let's see what God, Source, Holy Spirit, Christ consciousness, our higher selves, angels and energies of love have for the highest and greatest good of all. What is the main energy, people, overall situation, vibe going on? Ooh, somebody's having a really rough time with an ending or asking for help on a transition. This is somebody who sometimes insists they do it all, or it's done the hard way here. There's a way to work smarter, not harder. There's sometimes it's the energy of pride where somebody's too prideful to ask for help. They want to be the one that carries the load, but it's somebody that feels like they have the weight of the world on their shoulders. But it is a 10. So it is an ending, or it needs to be, even if it's the same situation, how you were doing it, or how this person was doing it in that last cycle has to change, or it's just going to get heavier and heavier and heavier. So it could also be where somebody is under so much stress with an ending, a transition, or how to switch something around, that the stress is being ignored somehow, and it's sometimes creating an illness, because stress can cause a lot of whack stuff in the body physically, but it could also be mental stress and emotional stress. But this is something that has to do with spirit. You know, it's creativity, it's fire energy. So it does say, hold on, I'm gonna get my glasses. It does say somebody's working too hard or way too many hours. So maybe somebody just has to free up the schedule in a little relaxation time. Maybe that will plug somebody back in, so when they go back to work, they feel energized again. It's a need for balance. So this is definitely somebody that's out of balance. I also see this as sometimes where somebody has a big old mess around them, which is part of the stress. Either it's the stress that's, I don't know, I heard inducing the mess, or it's because of the mess that there's even more stress. Sometimes I even see this as just the clean it up already. Clean it up. You know, all that time you think about, you're procrastinating about getting something organized or getting something streamlined or getting something simplified is so much wasted energy, and probably more than just cleaning it up. And that could be a situation or an actual environment, but there's something, because this is fire, it has to do with action. You know, somebody has to take action. If they're going through a cycle over and over, and it feels like in whatever arena of their life something is piling up, you have to take something away to create the space for what feels, I don't know, I'm getting more peaceful actually, or I'm getting simplicity a lot. Maybe somebody was making something way more complicated than it actually had to be. Maybe it is a complicated situation, but step by step, the more you take action, you will figure it out. So working too hard or too many hours, the need for balance in life. So do look at it like this. If somebody is the opposite of that and they are complacent, this is sometimes creativity, you know? And if somebody has these ideas, but they're never acting upon it, you know, always sitting on the couch watching old reruns, not really working hard at all, or the work they do, they're kind of robotic and don't enjoy it all, their spirit is not in it, then that can also build up to be an imbalance in somebody's life. The need for balance in life, let others help you. And it could be health problems due to stress. So somebody is definitely stressed out. And you have this lady here, she kind of looks like how my grandma used to dress, you know? Now there is something about, you know, like I think of someone like my grandma who never really stopped. She was always pulling weeds or doing something or cooking or cleaning, and always she kept herself busy all of the time, which actually energized her and kept her going because she loved it. So I am getting, for some of you, this is somebody who maybe retired and hasn't found like a hobby or anything that they really enjoy doing, and it's almost like the non-doing is the complacency, and if someone feels really stuck. But it could also be that somebody's just overdoing it to the point where, you know, they're stuck because they have all these things they could be doing that they could enjoy, and there's just no room, there's no time. You know what? Life is over in the blink of the eye, you know, blink of an eye. Sometimes you have to make that room. Sometimes, you know, if it says ask for help from others, maybe you have to ask somebody, hey, I need some time off. I need to go on a little vacay. Or, hey, how about you work for me? You know, you ever need a little time off? I'll work for you down the road. Maybe we can, you know, flip-flop, you know, shifts, but, you know, can you help me out? Maybe some of you want to do something alone and you need to hire a babysitter. Or I'm even getting somebody that I am always running out of room in this thing. I gotta maybe delete pictures now or apps or something, but let's continue. I was getting the message that somebody, I just heard excuses. Maybe somebody is not, you know, giving themselves time off or going away because I feel like they want, or don't trust anyone to watch their animal. It could be a dog, a cat, a horse, a bird. I mean, birds can be really hard. Maybe somebody has a whole farm, but there's somebody that can help. And if you feel like somebody wouldn't do it correctly, I feel like there's an offer or something you can teach them. And sometimes you have to, you know, give somebody that trust. I do think it could be there is somebody that you can trust to help you, or whoever this is. Maybe you're the one helping out someone. You know, they're always stressed out. Maybe you can suggest, hey, like, maybe you just need to go away for the weekend. You know, I'll take care of the kids, or I'll take care of your cows, or whatever it is. Show me what to do. I'll set the alarm. I'll send you a picture when you see that they're fed so you feel comfortable. But go plug yourself back in. I do feel like some of you are the helping factor in that situation. But I did hear excuses. So maybe there is somebody that always has an excuse. I can't do it now. It's not the time. You know, I even feel like somebody could, I'm getting that procrastination with the cleaning energy again. But maybe it's procrastination with work. Pressure. I just heard that song. Pressure. Pulling down on me. I don't know, maybe something in those lyrics. Let's ask specifically, a little deeper, what's going on with the 10 of rods, the 10 of fire. Maybe somebody has the initials M, I, V. There's always these letters here. I just looked at that and I heard mini, and then I thought of like the mini-me. Maybe there is somebody that's kind of younger, but they have potential to learn if they're taught. There's definitely healing because there's a caduceus in this basket, but there's also, I don't know, they look like drumsticks, but like the big ones that you do this to when you're in like marching band. I don't know, they're kind of all over the place. Somebody might be getting headaches as well, maybe migraines. Maybe somebody also needs to drink more water, because that can mess up the old brain. And then this person also has a cane. There might be somebody who maybe just is I'm getting like maybe even ignoring some kind of physical therapy or trying to do something a different way. I just heard cutting corners. Sometimes if something's like that, even if it's not actual physical therapy, you don't really get the benefits if you cut the corners. You gotta kind of go through that like little bit of, you know, it's hard. I also see a pool. Maybe if somebody is doing something like that, water can soften the pressure, because I did see that pressure. So I hope some of those messages, I feel like they were extra, are helpful to someone. Clarify. Why is the 10 of Rods here? Because somebody needs to get out of a stressful situation and they're not opening the gate or not having a conversation with that sword to actually ground something to change. Because you know where it's going to take you? Smoother waters ahead. But somebody has to think about these are swords cards. So now it's not just in this energy of fire and action and spirit, or the non-action, even though it needs to. Now somebody is becoming mentally clear about what they were sticking around in that wasn't healthy anymore, why they were doing it, and how to look at something in a different way so you can actually have forward movement again. Because this is where somebody is interesting, because this is the travel card for me. So it does look like somebody does need to travel a little, get out of the stressful environment over here, open up the gate, and you know, get on the road, get on the boat, do something a little different. This is also looking at every lesson you've gone through or situation in a different manner, with a different mindset, in a different way, seeing how anything hard you went through, did you grow, did you change, will you do it the same way again? You know, if you know that you go in that direction, there's always a storm there and you always forget your raincoat, the next time are you going to bring your raincoat? Or learn to navigate that storm differently, because there is going to be less weird energetic weather coming up. You know, this is where something does feel better. But in order to feel better, somebody had to believe it will get better, even if it's rough in that transition. It's rough leaving a situation that's what you knew or what you were used to or what somebody else was. It does look like somebody had some strings on here, or there was something kind of maybe at one point tying this person down, and it does look like this person has cut those strings, or somebody else was that helpful energy to show someone how they could, or did it for them. They're like, okay, you're free. Now you're going to walk out the door, lead a horse to water. I'm not going to pull you out of that gate if you really want to stay back there where you weren't comfortable, where you weren't satisfied, and where you always felt like you were living in a bird cage. But the door's open. You want to try to fly? You know, maybe it is where somebody has to learn how to have that freedom. Now, it is 8 of Swords. So this might be, I feel like you observing someone, but I am getting that you are either you are receiving help in this situation, or you are the one doing the helping, or at least, yeah, I feel like you're actually physically helping someone here. There's somebody like in the swan boat helping them across the water. Sometimes this is a journey over a creek, over a river, over a lake, over an ocean. But the water also represents emotion, not just, you know, one's mindset or lessons. You're taking those lessons that helped you almost like a motor to this boat, or like it was this paddle, or this energy here, this person that is helping something move along. You're not dragging it in the water like an anchor. Anything that felt like it was dragging, or an unhealthy anchor, or being tied up to an old situation, you're leaving that on shore. This is where you leave the baggage in the past. It is with the 6 where you do find balance in love. And if it's emotions, maybe it's somebody that had to feel more balanced about a decision to move, maybe physically move, or help somebody else too. What do these say? There is an angel on this gate here. I don't know why I just thought of the seraphim. I'm not sure if it's the seraphim or the cherubim. I think it's the cherubs that are the ones that guarded the gates of heaven. Maybe I can look that up and figure it out, or put it up here or something for you. I feel like the seraphim, I hope I'm getting that right, are the ones with like all the eyeballs and the fire and the like energy thing. So maybe you connect to angels. This person's also taking off the purple blindfold. So it is somebody that is tapping into the crown chakra, the higher chakras, source energy. And maybe this is somebody that didn't want to see the truth. Sometimes it's easier to not look at the truth if the truth is not what you always want to see. But if it's in high vibration with that purple crown chakra energy, it's what you need to see. And then you will receive help and signs on at least the next step or what to do along the way. It's trusting in the divine. It's also trusting yourself that you can figure it out. Sometimes I feel like the Eight of Swords is a weird energy. It's like somebody was made to believe that they are stuck and they, for some reason, accepted that shit. And if somebody doesn't want to be stuck, you don't accept it. You find a way. If one way doesn't work, you try it a different way. Look at something through many different angles, because usually it's the side door. So let's see what these say. The illusion, it's the smoke and mirrors that somebody's in entrapment. They're not. They just maybe want to believe they were, or so stressed out by, I mean, transition can really stress someone out. Moving, even if it's just to a different apartment or a house or a town or whatever, can be stressful. A lack of self-confidence that makes you feel helpless. Or somebody, interesting, being afraid. Somebody was, I don't know why I want to say scaredy pants. Maybe, I'm not even getting that this is somebody generally afraid. This is just, I'm getting it's a very specific situation. Maybe it's a big risk, or it's a really unusual direction that somebody has to move, where this specific thing is where somebody's having trouble facing the fear. They can do it, but they have to first believe they can. Being afraid to take action, that's your action card. So action for an ending. And it's somebody that needs to absolutely take responsibility for their life. So if this is somebody that was codependent or always expecting others to be the one to help them out, this is somebody that has to help out themselves. You know, if this is somebody that was always wanting somebody to save them, drive them, help them do this, then this is, I'm getting even a learning experience for someone to figure out, hey, you didn't even know you were that strong had you been given the chance to actually do it on your own. And it doesn't mean somebody's not going to stumble and fall once or twice or a bunch of times, but it's where somebody's learning to get back up. That's where that inner, outer, all over strength comes in. So the Six of Swords, it's interesting that it's a swan on the boat. The end of challenge, maybe you connect to swans or you see a swan. It does say that this is the end, the big finale of challenging times, and things are looking up. So I feel like that's why that blindfold is purple. I don't know why I hear head held high. Things are looking up, a welcome relief. And it's finding your way to a peaceful place. But that's a journey. It's discovering a more peaceful energy inside yourself on the next step, on the decision, on the direction. Even if your direction is all over the place and it's not a straight road, that's okay. Sometimes you got to get off path. You got to go the scenic route to get that next clue. Or sometimes you're gifted that little Easter egg, that shortcut to, jump a couple of levels or pop into a new dimension or hit a new timeline. The end, nice. I like how this is coming around. So somebody may have just stayed here. Maybe it was that complacent energy, lack mentality, negative mindset. Or somebody didn't want to take responsibilities because that seems so hard and stressful. But the way to move forward is for someone to be responsible, and maybe even because their swords speak up on their own actions, take accountability. That can be a huge relief. Somebody can be stressed out because there's something they want to address or have a conversation about, or, make a decision on. If they're never addressing it, that can just be that silent ball of weird that sticks in somebody because they're never letting it out. They're never speaking or living their authentic truth. So finding your way to a peaceful place, it's the end of a depression or illness. And it does say that that stress can create some illness over here. So this is where somebody's maybe even taking some accountability on maybe some toxic foods or habits or something like that, or people that they're around in an environment, and taking action to make the changes necessary. Whether that's just one change a day or one change that makes a big difference, or, you know, cold turkey that situation. So it does say there is travel. I did see that with it. Somebody does need to go away or just take a little breakaroo. And for some, it's relocation. So this is such a beautiful gate. And all the roses here. All right, let's continue. I'm gonna go to something else. My little doggy here is kind of demanding my attention. I'm gonna put you on pause. 1 sec, I'll be right back. I grabbed the tea leaf. I feel like we should do just a couple of extra bonus messages. Sometimes these are very specific. So let's just get a few tea leaf specific extra messages on smoother waters ahead, relocation, something feeling more mentally clear, or you're figuring out a solution. You're even looking at something from the past differently, but it's looking ahead towards the future. Hold on, I lost like half of the deck. I'm gonna put it back in because everything is down. All right, what is one main? I know Rose is making a little noise here. She got a hold of my little makeup sponge, which is her favorite thing to grab. What is an extra bonus message helpful right now today? Something big is going to happen in November, or depending on when you're watching this, it starts in November. Takes till November birthday, November anniversary. I just heard November is going to make all of the difference. Okay, all right, that's big. There's only, there's different categories in this, but now you have a very specific month. I just heard look forward to November. So maybe this is even a transition that takes that long. Or I'm even getting that instead of procrastination, maybe now it's preparation. What is that? Oh, you got a ring and a cracked cup. So, well, the ring usually has to do with a promise, marriage, and that could be romantic or business. It's a coming together to bring something full circle, or, it's something that you want to spend long-term action on. You don't mind going around and around in this situation because it keeps changing, it keeps evolving. It always feels like it is growing or fitting. But here you do have a disappointment energy. So a cracked cup, I'm getting a little bit of that 5 of Cups, which is where sometimes something breaks. Sometimes there's spilled milk, but to sit there staring at a cracked cup isn't going to fill it up. It's also where this is not really something that needs duct tape. It is something that needs to be tossed away, perhaps replaced. I am thinking of a weird china set that my mom had, and she lost like one specific piece, and my sister and I did find exactly that piece on eBay. But I'm getting that this is heavy. If somebody is under stress or, stuck in, whatever uncomfortable position this is, the bird cage, or not taking any action or learning from past lessons, this is somebody who's dissatisfied with life. That's pretty depressing. That is stressful. So if somebody is always there, whoever this is here, it's not seeing the glass half empty. It's that they're always expecting it to break. They're always expecting it to crack. They're always expecting something could never work out. So this is definitely somebody that needs to change that mindset, and or perhaps part of this leaving situation, moving on, and ending over here is because somebody was around people or a person or an environment like that. That can, you know, if somebody's in that kind of low vibration where everything is just bad, everything goes wrong, then maybe somebody is leaving a situation because you're never going to make a certain person happy. But I did see that thing with, I heard physical therapy before. So, I mean, maybe there is somebody that can get a lot of benefit by talking about something maybe they're keeping in. Maybe it even has to do with a situation that happened way in the past or currently. But I do see somebody healing, or they can, but they have to want to. Dissatisfaction with life is really heavy, man. I don't know who's dissatisfied with their whole life. That feels like changes need to be made there. And it doesn't have to be overall big life changes. Sometimes it's just little tiny things. You know, whoever this is. And I'm kind of not getting that it's you. Maybe you've had points, low points, we all have. But I feel like somebody is finally like wanting to throw away the trash, start anew, because now I see somebody cleaning up a mess. Follow your joy where it fell. Give somebody the boot, put on your boots, you know, do something fun. I don't know why I just saw line dancing with that, or maybe you're getting on a horse and not a swan boat. What does this say? There's your action. It's going back to the first card. So it's telling you to increase your efforts if you want to achieve your goal. I feel like whoever this is lost sight of their goal, or what they had as a goal didn't reach its potential, or didn't have the longevity where they wanted to sign. I just heard the weirdest thing. I just heard the song from Annie that Daddy Warbucks and Miss Hannigan sing. That I don't know why I see that. I've always wanted to bend to Buenos Aires. I hunger for the Argentine. Something, oh, just sign. Well, I don't need you. Well, that's fine. So just forget me. Forget my sweetness. I've been in Waterloo. It's like a duet. It's really weird. All he wanted her to do was sign. Maybe somebody just needs to sign the papers. Maybe this has to do with some kind of paper. Somebody's kind of refusing that. Could even be somebody trying to keep somebody stuck because they don't like change. It's stressing everyone out in a situation. And I don't know what that is. I don't think that's everyone's situation, but I do hear that song. Like now I just hear it in my head over and over. Maybe somebody is also, I mean, it could be wanting to adopt, or something that has to do with children. Let's see. I want to look at this boot up close. Boot. Increase your efforts if you want to achieve your goals. I feel like somebody has to maybe think about what brings them joy now in their life and what they maybe have as new goals. Because I think somebody kind of got down because something didn't work out. But sometimes something doesn't work out, but you have to relook at that situation and still head towards that joy. Head towards the curiosity. You know, continue to take action. Don't get stuck and stagnant like you're stuck in the quicksand. I definitely feel like there's goals that can be achieved, but maybe it just has to be seen in a different facet. Let's get another one. Let's see. Wow, these are flying out today. You got speaking of flying, you got a bat. Maybe somebody likes Batman. All right, so we got a weird energy popping through. It flew out, so it needs to be looked at. Even though I prefer happy readings, I will, even if it's a weird energy, find a way to get the inspiration. Because this is, no matter what comes through, it's to empower you. So it is telling you to take care, because there are enemies or frenemies or low vibes or whoever it is that are working against you. Maybe you are fully aware of that pressure that somebody's not working with you, but like tug of warring with you. Or maybe it's even an underlying behind the scenes or hidden aspect that you don't see. But hey, Spirit wants you to see it. It's here. And if you're tapping into the crown chakra over here, you're going to get a sign. You're going to get a way through or around or away from whoever that is. I don't know. I just heard, echolocation. You're switching your location. I don't know why I just thought of the Khalid song. Send me your location and the vibration. And I love that little rasp in his voice. So maybe there's somebody that's going to help you relocate, or some of you need to get out of that location if you're around people that you're not on a team with. It's like they're always going to argue their point, or they always want to have the last word. But I'm getting that some of you, maybe that's even why somebody over here is really disappointed. Somebody that you committed to or trusted wasn't really on your side or in it for themselves. Maybe you got to give that person the boot. These boots are made for walking. That's just what they'll do. One of these days, these boots are gonna walk all over you. Take care. All right, well, I'm gonna put that kind of over here. I don't like to give that energy much attention, but I do feel like I just heard resolution. There's gonna be a resolution. I don't know why I just heard let them think that they won. And yet the one that wins, if you're away from that energy, is actually you. I do feel like you're going to get a signal, because I just saw like the bat signal. So it's like the superhero that has like almost like superhero power, but he's normal. But I feel like you're going to see a sign that's going to help you, and no one else is going to see that, spiritual signal up in the sky other than you, or who needs it here. Maybe you're the one sending out that signal for someone to see. Let's get one more, because I'm shuffling. So we need to get another message. What is, maybe one more? Of course it's not one more, it's a few. How many? 1, 2, 3, 4 more messages from the tea leaf. So you have a purse. Pay attention to your finances. I do feel like for some of you, maybe this person that's always dissatisfied with life is because they're way too focused on the 3D money financial world. That could also be why somebody, if they're going through financial difficulties or a transition, even if it's like a divorce or just getting a new roommate, moving to a new location, a country, a state, whatever, that can be stressful. But it is telling you pay attention right now to your finances. I kind of feel like there is somebody maybe over here that either is giving bad advice or doing something in the dark when it comes to maybe the purse strings that they should not be doing. I don't know why I just heard skimming from the top. If that is your message, look at the books, maybe go back in the, the figures, something like that. I don't feel like that's somebody you like don't know out there. I feel like that's somebody you probably trusted. You shouldn't though. So, all right, purse, a bear. Oh, guess it's the same message. All right, this message has to come through. It's actually giving me, if you can see the hairs standing up. All right, so you got to pay attention. There's somebody who's nasty when it comes to money. Pretty much. This is not like the bear energy like in the Lenormand or, the Kipper, where it has to do with that like strong bear energy. This is a snarling bear. So this is somebody that gets pissed when it comes to finances, but that's probably the only thing that upsets them. And it says there's danger there. So danger, especially in money matters. I am getting a self-saboteur because I just heard danger. What is that? Will Robinson? And I'm thinking of can't think of his name, doctor whatever, that almost like purposely tries to be the hero or be the one that comes through to get something, kind of cunning, selfish, and like messes everything up. Rose just went over all of these cards here and messed them all over my room. So you do have 2 more. So let's take a look. It does say that you are moving to a place that does have a solid foundation. That's what you need to focus on. Maybe it's going to be a rough, a rough ride over here, but this is going to go away, especially if you see it clearly. Maybe somebody just didn't have their eyes open, because sometimes that's something you don't want to look at or deal with at all. Hi, Rose. So you have a tower here, but this is not the other tower like in the tarot. This is a different kind of tower. It actually is a solid foundation. It is where you have success. It's the same message, with effort, with action, with energy. I kind of feel like whoever this is, they like success, but I don't know if that's somebody that necessarily wants you to succeed. If it's somebody in lack mentality, they feel like they're getting something taken away if you get something. Not somebody who would be in your arena that you would want to, make a commitment to, because success or not, they're unconditionally going to work through it with you. And then what's the last one? Oh, wow, guys, whatever these messages are, guess what you got? You got a ring. Now this could be where the success is coming. Maybe this is even like a promise ring for yourself, to write your own narrative, to do what is healthy for you. But there could be a situation, if you have a ring and a broken ring, there's 200 cards in that deck, where it is telling you, absolutely, you need to part the ways. You need to break that ring. You need to melt it down. You need to put on your boots, walk out the gate, step by step, let go of the stress. Or maybe this is something somebody has to do on their own, or maybe they don't have to. Maybe there is help along the way, support somewhere there if you open up and maybe have a discussion or talk about it. I kind of feel like somebody's like putting down their foot. Is that a thing? Like, you got your boot, someone's putting down the boot, putting down their foot. They're not gonna be taken for granted anymore, or let somebody take advantage of them. It's parting of the ways in either romance or business. You have the parting of the ways somewhere, and a merging somewhere else. It could be that this is also where somebody merged in the past, and that merge was no longer growing. It was no longer working. Maybe that ring. I see somebody like hand swelling, or let's just say energetically they've changed shape, but I feel like that ring got too tight. And when it's really, really tight and like the soap doesn't even get it off, you actually sometimes have to get that cut off. So I do feel like there's something that does need to be cut. Parting of the ways in either romance or business. Rose, you got my cards all over the place. How am I supposed to be organized? How? All right, let me see what she wants. She might have to go to the bathroom. I will continue this, organize myself, and I'll see you. We're going to switch it up, and I'm going to get you some advice right now for wherever you are and whatever position of this transition, forward movement, or helping someone out is. What is the current message to be the most helpful for the collective right now that you need to get creative? Whether that's a creative solution. Sometimes creativity can be blocked. You cannot force creativity. I don't know why I just heard deadline. Now, sometimes people get extra creative with a little pressure. I did see that pressure before, but I'm getting that somebody needs to think outside the box. Maybe even this creativity is sparked through meditation, maybe the right music, Zen music, the creative approach to someone. I feel like it's not the normal way. As someone doesn't expect, it feels a little unusual or different. Maybe that's unusual for you. Your creativity is flourishing, allowing you to bring new ideas and perspectives That's definitely what's needed in this situation, to not just one area, not just the weird area over there, but all areas of your life. So I do feel like there's a rebalancing on many different areas. Maybe you start with the one that's not so stressful. You know, give yourself a stress-free oasis, tranquil place, and maybe that's where another solution will come in that helps you with that thing that maybe you don't want to face quite yet, but you will. I feel like somebody's gaining their strength and stability, and you're going to have success. Now, if this is the other way around, it could be where somebody was having some kind of creative block. The gate was shut a little too long here, and that's holding you or somebody back. So it does say you may struggle to find inspiration or motivation in your work. Now, that could be an environment, that could be around those weird ass energies over there, or it could be where you thought something had potential, whether that is business or, you know, romance, but it wasn't growing, it wasn't fulfilling. It could have been even, you know, the opposite, where it was pulling you back or draining you. So if there's somebody constantly blocking your progress, your growth, your expansion, that's what we're here to do. We're not here to get stuck and stagnant and complacent, because that creates the energy of resentment. So if you don't know what to do, this is telling you got to get a little spicy with yourself, with a situation, do things a little bit different. Rose is demanding my attention today for sure. And get creative. I also feel like, look at that mess. I did see somebody that needed to like clean up a mess. Maybe all those ideas didn't work. Maybe the idea is not down there on the messy floor. Maybe it's somewhere else. Maybe it's not in that computer. Maybe it's over there. But I'm getting that once somebody organizes something around their physical environment, that energy will start to flow. You'll have space for that momentum and that movement and the action that you need, you know, to move things along. I don't know why I just heard like the greasy wheel. Maybe somebody needs to speak up, or maybe somebody was always speaking up to get attention, but the wheel was always wobbly. But I see somebody needing the right oil with the gas, because I'm thinking of the weird like lawnmower motors, and I don't know if that's needed in a motor on a boat, but I do see somebody either getting help, but once something gets running, or you know how to finally do something. I'm also seeing with this movement, somebody does have to maybe pull the plug, let something go down the drain. Oh my goodness, what was that noise? All right, so let's go to something different. Rose, you're making me multitask because we're reading, babe. Can you sit on here on your fancy pillow? I want to go back to the tarot. So let's go back to the tarot, but this one is a different tarot. It's also a weird tarot. It's called the Grand Duchess Tarot. And I don't get the typical messages from it, because it's kind of like it's like a hodgepodge of different pictures put together, but I always get unusual messages. But sometimes that's exactly what's needed, especially with this creativity. So what is a message to be helpful on this? I'm going to ask about the forward movement. What is a message that's helpful on this creativity? This forward movement, overcoming blockages, building a solid foundation, success if the work is put in, and I'm getting a revision of somebody's goals. Clarity, please, and thank you. The Eight of Cups. So now you have the Eight of Swords and the Eight of Cups. So interesting. This is where somebody goes on a journey of self-discovery, leaves the uncomfortable zone, or what they knew is no longer feeling fulfilling. It's no longer growing. And taking that initiative, it takes a lot of balls and a lot of strength to, you know, do something on your own or go somewhere completely new. But this is where somebody learns more about themselves on that journey than not taking the journey at all. Whether that journey takes them exactly where they thought and their goal was, or totally off course, but somewhere different. Either way, even if somebody circles back around after going on this journey, after leaving a situation, an environment, a person, or just who they were, then if it does come back full circle, they've changed. Therefore, everything they attend in the life of their emotions, or what was emotionally, I don't know, I heard draining to them before, is different. What is here? It's like, I don't know, there's like a lot of nuts. There's like an old doll in the rain. I did say something before. Maybe you just need to see that about bringing your raincoat if you know there's going to be weird storms. But then you have this guy that's a chef. So maybe it is about cooking or the right recipe. I feel like this kid almost looks like they're drowning in a bunch of nuts. So maybe something was actually driving somebody like cray, a little cuckoo. Maybe somebody needs to get out of a nutty situation, especially if it keeps piling up. But then I'm thinking of a T-shirt that my sister has, and it's some like nut company, and I actually like that message. It says it's the nuts that change the world. But I'm getting that's the good nut, not the bad nut. Let's see. Clarify the 8 of Cups. So now you have 2 8s. That does bring you to the 16. It could be a tower moment. That is the other kind of tower moment. But that tower moment could also be a big old epiphany. It could also be a huge change that comes into someone's world, forcing them to do something different, get creative. Or it could be something that does come in and falls down because, with the 16, that, condenses back to the 7, which is a spiritual path. It's a spiritual vibration. I always see it as a destiny kind of energy. So clarify the 8 of Cups. Why is the 8 of Cups here? The 8 of Cups is here because you got the Magician and what just fell? Guess what it is? The Tower. Well, we got a lot of synchronicity messages coming through, and that tower fell. So maybe this is a tower that has to fall. It's interesting because they look like 8 tracks to me, or like old, cassette tapes. It is something that is outdated. Maybe you still have the device to play it once in a while, but there's a better way to do something. And when the tower with the Magician, guess what you have to do? Manifest differently, create different goals, believe in yourself, get creative. Even if you're, always thinking outside the box, then make some logical plans on those goals. The falling tower. It does look like somebody is getting a phone call. Maybe somebody dropped the ball since this person has a basketball in their hand. I really like the color on that cat. It's very fancy. Maybe you do have a cat with a fancy collar. But it's interesting because now I'm seeing the cat. Cats can see interdimensionally. Generally, dogs can see spirits. So maybe there is something about I just heard an interdimensional intervention. That was like a tongue twister. I'm getting that's a new timeline. Something has to fall for you to get there. It doesn't mean that tower falling is not a rough road, or, sometimes it's amazeballs. It's not always a bad tower, but it's a huge change that has to happen, usually by divine intervention, because somebody wasn't taking action to make it happen themselves, or they were taking too much action, or too much time, or too much complacency, or, going around in circles, keeping their anchor in the water, not making changes necessary for one's spiritual growth. We're here to grow. If you're supposed to have a big lesson or supposed to be in a different direction and you're resisting that change, something bigger is going to happen to get to give somebody a big ass wake up call. That's what that is. It's a wake up call. Somebody can try to keep hitting that snooze. Well, eventually something's going to start to get really annoying, or you're going to get, when you oversleep so much, you're actually more tired when you wake up. I feel like finally somebody's waking up here. They're building in the wrong place, or they need to change their tools, which they were building with. Maybe somebody's building with spiritual tools now. Connected to actual physical tools, and those tools can be people spiritual gifts, talents, even skills that you've gained. The Magician is a Virgo/Taurus, and Oh, that was a Freudian slip. Maybe Taurus is important here. It's actually a Gemini/Virgo energy. And it's interesting because there is a change here. Because look, these are like 8 tracks or whatever they are, like tapes or whatever. And now what is that guy putting up? I mean, it kind of looks like it could be a movie projector or, I don't know, it looks like something he invented, but it doesn't look like if you try to stick that tape in that device, it's going to work. There's some kind of disconnect here. You know, maybe he had to figure out, oh, it's like tape. So now I just picture this like an 8-track, or, you know, when you have, I don't know, not all of you have had tapes, but you remember when the tapes got all wackadoo in your boombox and you had to take the pencil and like put it up? I feel like this magician has figured out a way. You're like, nah, that always happens. That's really annoying. And I have to stop it before I get to the full album. I don't want to have to flip it over to hear the whole CD, or I would say CD, the whole album. So it's like he took out the tape and he's like, I'm going to make it bigger. I'm going to hear the whole thing in one go. And I'm going to make my own device that actually makes it work. No one's thought of this before. You do have to get creative. You have to think of this situation, whatever it is, in a way no one else could or, you know, ever has. Or even how you thought was possible. There's an infinity there. There was something that had to be turned on its side. But it's interesting that there's an 8, even though the magician is normally a 1. So maybe an 18 is important, or an 81. It does look like this guy is very simple. I did see simplified. Maybe there's something behind the curtain. Maybe if this magician is this way, it's seeing the man or the woman behind the curtain, because that's the shady salesperson. That's the one that's going to sell you this big gimmick and be like, it's the best thing ever. And then they sell you a device and it's broken. But they hit their sales quota. You know, that's somebody that can't be trusted because it's smoke and mirrors. It's parlor tricks. You know, they're saying that they did this big invention and then there's some strings behind the curtain pulling it and fooling you with the eye. You're not going to be fooled anymore here. You need to be the embodiment of the magician that is a spiritual magician, because that's not ego. That's not selfish desire. It is allowance. It is allowing that creative energy or that insight and intuition to come in how it should. You can't force it. You can't force spirit to give you psychic messages. You have to be open to receive. So somebody's manifesting a change. That's what I see. Someone's manifesting how to build different after something fell down, or really learning from how something fell down, how to do it different. Somebody has learned about their own personal power along a journey of self-discovery. Because I always see, you know, after the tower is the star, which is hope restored, healing. What's at the bottom? The King of Cups. So maybe somebody had to tap into their intuition, their instinct. Maybe somebody was holding their heart back from their truth, or not speaking their truth, or kept something so under the surface about how they really feel that it's almost like it bottled up and exploded, like, I don't know, I'm getting like a volcano energy. The King of Cups is usually someone emotional stable. I'm getting this as somebody like kind of strong, but sort of soft and gooey on the inside. But it could also be where, if this is, you know, the reverse King of Cups, it's somebody that never let out how they truly feel. He's holding a camera. It could also be somebody that portrayed their life or portrayed their situation as being picture perfect. But the undercurrent of that situation, especially if it was a tower, it wasn't picture perfect. Maybe it was just a beautiful white picket fence. But maybe that picket fence had a lot of cracks. It doesn't matter how many times you repaint it. If the wood is rotten, you know, it needs to be replaced. So it could be somebody that is connecting to, or you are, a water sign. But I'm getting that this is somebody learning that, I heard vulnerability is a strength. Learning to open up. Even if it hurts, or it's a hurtful conversation, or it's amazing. Because if this is somebody finally opening up about how they feel, then maybe that's where the magic begins. Especially if that's a beautiful thing and a beautiful renewal or commitment coming in. There is something about, and I don't know why I heard umbrella policy. I don't know what that is, but I know that's something with insurance. I see umbrella. You have all this money energy over here. And I also feel like that has something to do with a vacation, because that's the umbrella that comes on the, the cool cocktails or mocktails that you maybe have on in an island, or hey, maybe even like a restaurant. I feel like this is somebody ready to show off their heart. That's interesting. That's an interesting message. So I feel like there are a lot of messages that came through here, and I feel like it's one of those readings that you have to tailor to your personal situation, but it might not be every message that is, your message. But for some reason, if it like feels like it resonates and it's not your situation, I feel like you're going to find out, I just heard soon, how maybe your insight can be helpful to someone else's situation, and or how you can be the one to help somebody manifest a new beginning or see it in a new perspective. And I feel like that, I don't know, I hear building that builds all over. I also look at this guy's shirt. I know that's weird, but I see train tracks here. So maybe it's getting back on track. Maybe it's being in the right direction. Maybe somebody felt derailed before. So we're going to get you one more message from the universe. What is the final? Wow. What was that? All the cards are flying today. I hope this reading was helpful for you guys. Things are going to be turned in your favor. You're getting back on track. People that were, and this is interesting over here, people that were against you, all of a sudden will be for you. Now, I am getting an extra message. If there is somebody that was against you, or a frenemy, or not working with you, or had all this dissatisfaction or draining energy, and all of a sudden you're doing well over here and they're your bestie, be aware of that. But if you feel like somebody has this genuine heart to want to see you succeed and move on, because you're building new goals and having magical spiritual experiences and feeling less stress and in this beautiful success and solid foundational energy, and they, whether they're with you doing it or not, want to see you succeed, you're going to feel that genuine energy, that authenticity, and that support. But I do feel like there's maybe naysayers. They're going to have maybe they're going to have a big old tower moment and do a turnaround in their energy. All of a sudden, maybe because if somebody is projecting weird ass energy towards you, it's their own inward projection going onto you. People can project all kinds of crazy shit, but it doesn't mean they know your situation. So this could be somebody projecting because they're comparing whatever they heard or they think you were going through or whatever on their own situation or their own dissatisfaction with life. Wait, it's not the right one. That one. You have the choice to listen or not. You need to trust your gut, your intuition with that energy. Things are going to be turned in your favor. That's what you have to focus on. People that were against you all of a sudden will be for you. Ideas, guess what? Ideas. It's kind of this. You come out of the Fool. You're on a new environment, new mission, new world, and you're like, oh man, I'm in this new world and I don't have a toothbrush. So then you get to this magician energy and they're like, what would be good to brush my teeth with? I use a leaf, or I don't know, maybe I could find something that's kind of bristly that would work. But I need to put something on it. So that's the magician energy. Something wasn't quite working, or you needed to do something, so you come up with those ideas and you're like, now how can I make those ideas a reality? And then you put in effort until it works. But you are having ideas in creativity, promotion. Where is this? The right contracts. And they're all gonna come into your hands. So you need to focus on the energies you are around. Don't overly focus on the weird ones. Look at what your goals are or what you feel committed to in your soul. What makes your motor run? Where your foundation feels solid, where you feel like there's not a lock on that gate, you're always in the freedom to move. And step by step, keep that momentum going. I hope this reading was helpful for you. Thank you so much for being here. Finally, at the end of this reading, Rose is on her pillow over here, chillaxing. And I appreciate you being here. Thank you for being part of our soul family. Thank you for giving this reading a like, and a thumbs up over there. I do appreciate it. And I look forward to seeing you soon. I love you so much. And I'll see you soon.